Have you ever seen someone who always seems calm? When there's chaos, they stay peaceful. When they're being yelled at, they remain composed. When the world is falling apart, they can still think clearly. And you wonder, what superpower do they have to stay so calm? Now in this video, I'm going to break down one by one the habits of people who can stay calm in even the most chaotic situations. And this isn't just theory. This comes from psychology, philosophy, and real practices that you can implement right away. Let's discuss this. If you're ready to master your mind and stay calm no matter what life throws at you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps a lot and keeps content like this coming. Now, let's get into it. Understanding your body's stress response. Okay, so here's the thing. People who can stay calm during stress aren't calm because they never feel tense, and it's not because their lives are always peaceful. It's because they really understand how their body reacts when stress hits. Let me give you an analogy first so you can picture it. Our body is like having an automatic alarm system. As soon as you sense a threat, whether it's a tight deadline, someone yelling at you, or even just a notification from your boss, your body immediately activates what's called survival mode. This system is called the fight or flight response. It's a built-in system from when our ancestors were still chasing mammoths. The difference is now the enemy isn't a tiger, but a sudden email at 10 p.m. When this system activates, many things immediately happen in your body. Your heart beats faster, your breathing becomes short and shallow, your muscles tense up ready to fight or flee. Your digestion stops because your body thinks, hold on, that's not important right now. And your brain starts spinning fast, but sometimes it's like chaotic overthinking. All of this is automatic, friend. You don't choose it, your body does. But calm people understand one important thing. I can't prevent my body from reacting, but I can regulate it so it doesn't overreact. How they do it? First, they're aware of the signals like, okay, I'm starting to breathe heavily, my hands are cold, my voice is getting a bit louder. Most people sometimes don't realize it until they've already exploded, but calm people are smart at reading early signals from their body. Second, they have ways to turn off the alarm. One of the most commonly used methods is conscious breathing. Let me give you a simple example called box breathing. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold. For 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold again for 4 seconds. Repeat this several times. Why does this work? Because when you regulate your breathing, you send a signal to your brain. Friend, relax. We're safe. There's no lion chasing us. And once the brain gets that safety signal, the body system slowly complies. The heart lowers its tempo. Muscles start to relax. The head becomes clearer. You regain control. Besides breathing, they also like to use grounding techniques. For example, look at 5 objects around you. Touch 4 textures, listen to 3. Sounds, smell 2 aromas, name 1 thing you're grateful for. This is called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. The purpose is to bring your brain back to the here and now, not wandering off to a future that hasn't happened yet. The point is, calm people don't wait for the world to be peaceful to be calm. They're calm precisely because they understand that if I can understand and regulate my body during stress, I won't be controlled by panic. And it all starts with self-awareness and small, consistent practices. Separating facts from mental stories. One of the reasons why many people easily panic, overthink, or stress themselves out is actually simple. They can't distinguish between what's actually happening and what's just a story in their own head. This is what differentiates calm people from reactive ones. Not because their lives are easier, but because they don't immediately believe everything in their own thoughts. Let me give you an example. You're working, and suddenly your boss says, hey, let's meet in the meeting room tomorrow morning. We need to talk about yesterday's report. A reactive person immediately thinks, oh no, I must have done something wrong. Maybe my report was terrible. Oh no, I might get scolded or demoted from the project. But what are the actual facts? Just one. Tomorrow you're asked to meet to talk about the report, period. What makes it stressful is the story you add yourself. You imagine they'll be angry. You imagine your report is bad. You imagine all the negative things that might not even happen. Calm people don't immediately go down that path. They have a habit of asking themselves, what are the objective facts? What do I actually know and what are just assumptions? They can pause and think, okay, they said they want to talk about the report. There was no angry tone, it might not be bad. Maybe they want to give feedback or even praise or give new responsibilities. By thinking like that, your emotions don't immediately spike because you hold back from blindly believing the story your brain throws at you. Because here's the thing, our brain is really good at making horror movies from one small incident. And that horror movie drains energy. makes you anxious, makes you mentally tired, even though it might not even be true. What's interesting is this isn't just about thoughts, but also affects the body. Once you believe your head's negative story, your body reacts accordingly. Heart pounding, shortness of breath, stomach churning, but you haven't done anything yet. Nothing has even happened. That's why it's really important to separate two things. 1. What actually happened. 2. What's just your interpretation of that event. And this isn't just about work or serious situations. Small example, your friend doesn't reply to your message. Your brain immediately goes, they're sulking with me. I must have said something wrong yesterday. Maybe they don't want to be friends with me anymore. But the fact is, they haven't replied to the message yet. Maybe they're busy, maybe their phone died, maybe they just want to go offline for a while. What makes you overthink is because you put assumptions as if they were truth. So, calm people have a mental filter. Every time something happens, they filter first. Is this fact or opinion? Is this reality or just my head's narrative? And once you get good at doing that, you won't easily get pulled into drama that you create yourself. You can make decisions more calmly, more rationally, and without mental exhaustion. The point is this, bro, not everything you think is true, and you don't have to believe every voice in your head. If you can train yourself to distinguish facts from stories, your life will be much lighter. The power of the pause. So here's the thing. Calm people don't mean they don't have emotions. They can get annoyed, disappointed, offended, or irritated just like everyone else. The difference is they don't immediately react. They hold back first. There's a pause. And in that pause, they take control. Many of us are often on autopilot. Someone bumps into us a little. We immediately get angry. We get a message with a snippy tone. We immediately reply with a long response. Something doesn't meet expectations. We immediately curse, throw things, get angry. That's because we don't give space to think before acting. Calm people have a habit of pausing, then choosing their response. And this isn't just about being elegant, but also about effectiveness. Let me give you an example. You're on the road in a hurry. Suddenly a motorcycle cuts you off from the left while getting angry for no clear reason. Your reflex wants to curse back, but you pause for a moment and think, if I respond to this, it'll become a long thing. My emotions will be messed up. We might fight. I'll be late to my destination and regret it all day. Calm people always think ahead. They don't want one small emotion to ruin a whole day's energy. There's a cool term for this in psychology, response gap, the pause between stimulus and reaction. That's where freedom lies. The longer that pause, the greater control you have over your life. And usually before they respond, they also name the emotion they're feeling first. Not just I'm angry, but more detailed. I feel unappreciated. I feel cornered. I feel afraid of failing. By giving the right name, your emotion becomes more manageable. Your brain is no longer just reacting, but starts thinking, okay, this can be handled. Sometimes they also practice asking themselves before taking a stance, will my response make the situation better? Will I regret it later if I follow my current emotion? Is this in line with the best version of myself? And believe me, it takes practice. It's not something you master immediately, but the more often you hold back, the stronger your mental muscle becomes. This habit of holding back before responding is also really important in communication. For example, your partner says something hurtful. If you immediately respond, war can break out. But if you pause, take a breath and say, I hear you, but I need a moment before I answer. Boom, the damage drops significantly. The communication becomes healthier. Or at work, your boss criticizes your work in front of others. The reflex is to want to argue, defend yourself, or stay quiet but feel hurt. But you hold back first, take a pause, and maybe respond with, noted, sir. I will evaluate and improve. And you can discuss it privately afterwards. The result is much more elegant. You look professional and still maintain your dignity. The point is, good responses need time, and you can take that time if you're aware and train yourself not to immediately take the bait. Calm people aren't robots without emotions, but they're humans who are aware that not all emotions need to be turned into actions. Sometimes staying quiet for a moment is actually the best way to control the situation. It doesn't mean you lose, but you're winning over yourself. Focus on what you can control. People who look calm, composed, and don't easily panic aren't that way because their lives are problem-free. They also have many things that cause stress, anxiety, and fatigue. But the difference is, they know what they can control and what they can't. This seems simple, but the effect is huge, because many of us get tired, not because the problems are heavy, but because we put energy into things we actually can't control. For example, we can't control the weather, but we complain all along the road because of rain. We can't control what people say, but we think about their words all night. We can't control the past, but we blame ourselves every day. Things like that drain energy, but don't provide solutions. People who focus on what they can control think like this. I can't control what people do, but I can control how I respond. I can't guarantee everything goes smoothly, but I can prepare myself as best as possible. They choose to put attention on things that are productive, concrete, and actionable. For example, instead of thinking, what if my presentation fails tomorrow? They change it to, I can study more now, I can practice speaking to be more confident, I can prepare plan B if something doesn't go as expected. The thinking pattern isn't denial, but the focus is flipped. Because here's the thing, things we can't control are actually like fog. The more you put energy into fighting the fog, the more lost you become. But when you stop, look at the ground, find footing, walk slowly while holding a compass, that means you start focusing on concrete things, things you can control. Even when conditions are truly chaotic, they still think, in the middle of this chaos, what's one small thing I can still do? It could be taking a deep breath, writing priorities, drinking water so you don't get dehydrated, or just reminding yourself to stay calm first. Don't rush to panic. Simple but powerful. And this mindset also affects your emotions. If you keep thinking about things outside your control, you automatically feel powerless, like a victim. But when you focus on things you can change, you slowly feel stronger, calmer, and more ready to face whatever comes. The most real example is dealing with other people. Annoying people can't be changed by us, but our attitude toward them. How we respond, that's completely within our control. We can choose to ignore them, answer calmly, or keep our distance. The important thing isn't making them change, but making sure we don't get dragged down by their bad mood. And funny enough, the more we focus on ourselves and things we can manage, the greater our positive influence on our surroundings becomes. Because other people will see, oh, this person is calm, they don't easily get carried away by emotions. They keep going even though many things aren't ideal. The impact becomes wider, but it still starts from small things that can be controlled by ourselves. The point is, you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust the position of the sail, and sometimes that's enough to get you to your destination. The importance of self-reflection. People who seem stable, calm, and mature aren't that way because they never fail or never get angry, but because they have one habit that not everyone has. They regularly look inward. They reflect on themselves, not looking inward to blame themselves, but to see, what did I do today? What can I learn? Did I really become my best self or not yet? Self-reflection is like cleaning a mirror. If you never do it, it gets more and more blurry until you can't see yourself clearly. And that's dangerous because you end up living in automatic mode, just going through motions, just reacting, just talking without being aware of what you're planting and causing. Reflective people usually have special moments. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just sitting quietly and thinking, what did I actually feel today? I was really annoyed earlier, but why? Was it because of the person or actually because I was tired? Was I angry because of other people or because my own expectations weren't met? They dig, they explore. They don't immediately throw all the blame outside, and this is what makes them different. Reflection isn't about finding who's to blame, but more about what was my role in this incident? Because from there you can learn, you can grow. Without reflection, you'll repeat the same patterns, encounter the same problems, and strangely you'll also blame the same things. For example, you feel like all your bosses are toxic. Every time you change jobs, you always feel unappreciated. If you never reflect, you'll keep thinking, my environment is wrong, the people around me always have problems. But if you have a habit of reflection, you might realize I always hold in my complaints until I finally explode. Or I lack communication from the beginning, so other people misunderstand. And from there you have a chance to change something. That's the power of self-reflection. Sometimes reflection also comes from small questions like, what moment made me most grateful today? What's one thing I regret today? If I could repeat today, which part would I want to do better? You don't have to write long essays. Sometimes 5 minutes before bed or while on the motorcycle, spacing out at a red light is enough. The important thing is you give time to talk to yourself. Because often the answers to our confusion are already inside us. We just never make time to listen. And here's what's cool. The more often you reflect, the faster you recognize your own patterns. You'll start to realize, okay, every time I lack sleep, I get easily snappy. If I don't exercise for a week, my mood crashes. If I open social media too much, I start feeling inadequate and insecure. And once you know your patterns, you can take steps before everything falls apart. Self-reflection also makes you more empathetic toward other people because you understand that everyone is carrying their own burdens. You don't easily judge, Because you also understand what it's like to have chaos in your head. Eventually, you don't just become calmer, but also wiser in facing a world that sometimes doesn't meet expectations. The point is, self-reflection isn't about finding fault, but about giving space to grow. And you don't have to wait for life to fall apart to start. Just ask yourself slowly, have I been honest today? Have I acted according to my values today? If I met my 5 years ago self, what would they say? Answers to questions like that can sometimes open doors we never realized we locked ourselves. The power of stable routines. People whose lives seem calm, don't panic, and aren't easily shaken usually have one thing that seems trivial but has a big effect. Their routines are stable. That doesn't mean their lives are monotonous, but they do have patterns, they have structure, and that structure becomes the foundation in the middle of a world that's often chaotic. Have you ever felt like your day was messed up? Woke up late? Rushed, haven't eaten, went straight to work piled up, stressed, then got angry at small things, even though nothing big happened either. That's usually because there's no rhythm, no routine that you hold on to. And people who are emotionally stable really understand the importance of having daily anchors, small things they repeat every day to build a sense of security within themselves. For example, waking up at the same time every day, immediately, drinking water, sitting for a moment, maybe journaling or stretching, not to show off, but to make themselves centered. They don't start the day in a rush. They start the day with awareness. Then they also know when it's time to work focused, when it's time to rest. They create boundaries because they realize that, if not given boundaries, life can pull you everywhere, and you end up tired but unclear why. What's interesting is their routines aren't always super productive either. Sometimes there are relaxing parts like evening walks, sitting with afternoon coffee, reading before bed. But that's exactly what makes their mental state stable, because routines aren't about chasing targets, but about consistently refilling energy. And this is also important. Stable routines give you control, even when other things are out of your control. For example, work is busy, family is complicated, weather is bad, mood is down, but because you still wake up at 6, still exercise for 15 minutes, still journal for 5 minutes, you still have one bright spot that you hold on to, like a handrail. On a ship when a storm comes, and routines don't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as making a to-do list the night before, having the same breakfast every day, turning off your phone 30 minutes before bed, writing one sentence about your day before sleeping. Small things, but if done consistently, they form a foundation in your life. Because here's the thing, many people think big changes come from big motivation, but changes that last come from small habits you repeat every day. And calm people understand this principle. They don't wait for motivation, they rely on systems. Like athletes, they're not always excited to train, but because they have clear training hours, they just do it. It's not about enthusiasm, it's about discipline built from routines. And most importantly, stable routines also give a signal to your brain. I care about my life. I want to have direction. I'm not just going with the flow. That makes you more confident, more aware of your decisions, and not easily shaken when things outside you start to change. So the point is, if you want your life to be more stable, start by building stable routines. It doesn't have to be perfect right away, but start with small things you can repeat consistently. Because in an unpredictable life, your routine can be the anchor that helps you stay sane and calm. So people who are always calm aren't that way because they're cold or indifferent, but because they have habits of thinking, feeling, and managing themselves consciously. Calmness isn't a talent. Calmness is a skill. And the good news is, you can train this skill starting today. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Share it with friends who need some calmness. Thank you for being here. May you be at peace. With gratitude, Daily Dharma.